August 2019 was the first time I ever experienced real depression, real sadness. I went through days where I couldn't see a way through. There was dark clouds over everything. I couldn't interact with my family. I couldn't interact with my friends. I used to not respond to them. I used to be so fucked and so anxious of going out with them and so sad in myself and depressed and hating my life. I wouldn't even go out to meet them or even go on Xbox with them when they would ask me to. And this lasted for about 2 years. This lasted for a while, and I just want to make this video for you lot who are struggling overall, because I never thought at that time I was going through that for a reason, in a sense, and now I realise I can help certain people with this, and I've made a whole list of everything that I've done essentially to get out of that pain and that sadness. And like I said, I was in it for 2 years. I was in it for 2 years, and the 6 months initially was very intense. It was very hard. I remember I was literally fucked. I couldn't interact with anyone. And I say that on this camera like it's easy to say, but literally I could still feel the pain from that time. I just remember literally feeling crushed and not knowing what I was going through. I didn't know what I was going through. I was 17 at the time. I didn't have a clue what was going on. It felt like my whole reality just stopped. Felt like everything just kind of came to a halt, and I was extremely anxious, extremely afraid, extremely sad. I was fucked. I didn't really have many people. I had my family and I had like a few friends, but at that time that felt like nothing. And logically, I didn't know a way out. And I remember that year especially, my mum was even joking about it with me before. She said nothing went right for you that year. Everything failed that year, literally everything. I remember near the end of the year, I was doing a thing called NCS test, I believe. And this is to get on site, on building sites to work. And I literally failed it by 1 mark. The whole year I revised like fuck. Like I revised like fuck when it was coming up to that new thing after I finished school to go into something. And I was revising like fuck. Like literally revising so hard. Trying to memorize. And I literally fucked up by 1 mark. And that just summed up the whole year for me. Just everything going wrong and going bad and feeling like nothing could go better. And it lasted literally until 2021. I'd say around June 2021 time, around that time, around May, around that time, because I remember a weird day that changed it. And this is going to be a really weird tip, but what I'm going to say is my first thing for you lot to do, and this is the first thing I would say that helped me truly, was getting outside and being around nature and just being around life in a sense. Because a lot of times we look at ourselves as everything, if that makes sense, and forget there's a whole world going around us. There's actually loads of stuff going around us. For example, nature. Nature is one of the most beautiful things, but we neglect it because of social media, because of how much time we spend on our phones. We neglect it completely, which is terrible. It's just terrible. We neglect everything. I was literally having a conversation with someone yesterday, and we were speaking about how we neglect everything in this life. We neglect everything. We neglect going outside and looking at the sky. We neglect looking at our nature. We neglect, if we have some animals, spending time with them. We neglect speaking to our family. We neglect all these areas because our phone's more important, because we're overstimulated. And it's crazy in a real sense, because we never think that a cure, like going outside, can help a lot. But the weirdest thing is, when you go outside, it helps an insane amount. It helps an insane amount, and this helped me a lot. I used to literally just roam about outside. I would walk and I would walk and I would walk. And I'd be by myself, and I used to put earphones in, which wasn't necessarily the best thing because I wouldn't play the best music. I'd play a lot of Juice WRLD and sad songs and depressing songs, so that would keep me in that loop of sadness and pain. But when I wouldn't have that music in, I remember there was a park near me, because obviously the lockdowns happened around 2020. So around about 6 odd months into me being depressed and sad, I had to start literally walking around. And I remember I got laid off at my job at that time. So I was on the building site for a bit, for like 2 months, I believe, from I think January to March, something like that. And I basically had nothing to do during COVID. So all I done then was I worked on little bits of stuff which didn't really facilitate into anything, but it was good for me to try something. But I would just go for walks. I'd walk around the park all the time. All the time I literally would go for 10,000 steps every day. And it's a good thing to go towards. It's a good thing to go towards, and I'll just get outside, get around life. I was lucky in the location I lived. I used to live probably about 20 minutes away from the centre. So I'll just walk into my city centre, essentially, and walk around, especially in Bristol. There's a nice harbour side. I used to walk around there, and I used to get a lot of enjoyment out of that. And I really still like that area to this day. And I visit it quite a lot, which is nice and good for my mental health. The next thing that I did was I used to take everything so seriously. So I used to take everything seriously to the point something will go wrong, and I think I'm the worst thing ever. I'm a victim. It's because of me. This is horrible. Or like a little thing will go wrong, or loads of little things through the course of the day will go wrong, which is natural. Things will always go wrong through the course of the day. Things will go negative. Things won't go the way you want. And I used to be pissed at myself. I used to get annoyed. I used to hate myself. I used to think I was nothing. I was terrible. And this was a negative reality for me. And this just made me feel terrible. Everything that happened, I'd be quite anxious and afraid of things happening along me. I'd go in a shop. I'd be anxious and afraid to walk into a shop. I'd be anxious and afraid to literally walk into a shop. It was such a weird time for me at the time. And it just felt weird. It felt weird. And I never used to laugh when I messed up. So when something little would go wrong, I wouldn't laugh at myself. I wouldn't make jokes about things going on in my life. And this is something that actually changed a lot in my life, in the sense of my overall view of everything. I never used to laugh at the little stuff. I never used to laugh at things going slightly wrong, or me being an idiot, me doing something wrong. I never used to laugh at it. Of course, not in a fatality way, like I've done something terrible and hurt someone, but on a real level, when you do little things wrong, feel free to laugh at yourself. Feel free, if you're going for a walk, making a joke out of a fucking squirrel that's near you, making a joke out of anything that's going around. Make jokes about the little things. That's what I've written down here. Make jokes about the little things. Because there's so much going on. There's so much negativity. There's so much sadness. There's so many times where you can literally feel like you're nothing and feel like you're terrible. And you can let that build up and build up. And let's say you're having a bad day, and then you look at all the negatives around you anyway. You look at all the negatives. You look at everything that's negative and beat yourself up to the point you feel shit. Where you're focusing on not what you have, you feel shit. And then you make it worse and make it worse and make it worse. And you almost dig a deeper hole for you to go in, essentially. But when you start laughing at the little things and making jokes out of little stuff about yourself, about things going on, about everything, about little stuff, man, it allows you to actually have fun in this reality and happiness in this reality. And that's something that I've done. And I haven't heard many people speak about this. Just try to make a little joke out of things going wrong. Let's say you're out and about and just something happens. Something little happens. Just make a joke out of it. And this is what I found really helped me at that time. It really did, because otherwise I would view everything so negative. And this changed it a little bit. I remember the exact day when it happened. I don't remember the exact date. I believe it was around May time of 2021. But I was on a train. So I used to get a train to college. And at the college, I wouldn't speak to anyone. But I got off the train. The sun was going, and it was a decent day. And I remember I walked off a train, and I thought, oh, why don't I just get back on? And this is the stupidest joke. This isn't even funny. But I found it hilarious for some reason. I found it hilarious, and it made me smile, and it made me laugh, and it made me feel better about that day and about my life. And it allowed me to just kind of get through that in a sense. And then I just started making jokes out of little things, trying to smile for little things, and it really helped. It really helped. And that's another thing that you need to do. And here's going to be the next tip in a sec. The next thing I did was I looked for the positives in my life. So this can go on all different levels. I looked for the little positives. So let's say food. The little things just to be grateful for. Food, drink, water, all this stuff. I found the little things to be grateful for. And that truly helped me. I would literally look at little things in my life, whether it's music as well, like I wrote down here. Music used to be a big thing for me to look forward to. I'd listen to a song and feel good whilst I'm listening to a song, feeling grateful. Of course, you've got to listen to songs that make you feel good. And it would help my reality, and it helped me on a real level and a real sense. It would really help. If I didn't do that, I can't see how I would have panned out if I wasn't positive about the little stuff. And this can go from all different areas. This can go from the goals you're trying to achieve, the day you're in, whatever it is, because you're going to have bad days naturally anyway. But if you look for the positives in every day, in everything, whether that's something tiny, whether that's something massive, it really does help your life, especially if you look at the tiny things. It amplifies the massive things. So let's say there's big things going well in your life, but let's say you are grateful for the little things going on, whether that's your cat or the weather or something little, water, food, the air that you can breathe. If you write down things that you're grateful for, the bigger things, when you get the bigger rewards, you're going to be even more grateful for them. And that allows you to feel better, allows you to actually grow. And this is what I had. This is what I had. When I looked for the positives, it really helped my reality and it really helped myself. It really helped me as an overall person, and it made me feel exceptional and it made me feel amazing. And that's going to be the thing that I truly done to truly help me. That was one thing that really changed the game in my actual outlook of this life, because our minds are different now. Are different. Sometimes I wish we were in our parents' generation or older people's generation, because they had less to worry about. Even though their lives may have been harder, don't get me wrong, like, it may have been harder, they didn't have as many opportunities. They didn't have as many things to focus on. For example, social media and all that stuff, which kind of modifies you as you're growing up anyway. Social media modifies you to a certain way because you've got to fit in a certain way, and you're focused on likes, you're focused on comments, you're focused on all these weird things, weird metrics that don't even exist really and didn't exist in their day. And you care about what people think, you care about if that person's messaged you, you care about this thing. That doesn't help you. It really doesn't help you. And if we can kind of literally find the positives that we have, that allows us to feel grateful and happy in ourselves. And if you just find little things to be grateful for, it will actually help your reality and help you. The next thing I done was I made things to look forward to. So this was as simple as me getting up the next morning and drinking black coffee. That's a weird thing to do, but sometimes, like this morning, I'll go outside and I'll drink a black coffee. So I fast every morning. I fast for like 4 hours, maybe a bit more, some days less. Recently I've been fasting for a bit, and then I have a protein shake with just water and protein powder, have that, and then I'll go on about my day. And this truly helped me on a real level, looking forward to little things. So next day having a black coffee, that would make me feel good in the sun, or maybe I'll just stop drinking it. I really like the taste of the drink. Little things like that, making things to look forward. And then I also made things to look forward to after college. So I ate food after college. So I used to go to college, and then after it, I used to get a mayo chicken and a Diet Coke from the McDonald's there. So I used to have to get on the train, and I used to get a mayo chicken and a literal, Diet Coke every time. And people say you shouldn't eat McDonald's, but at that time, it still helped me get towards my fitness goals because it wasn't that bad calorie-wise, maybe 200, 300 calories with a Diet Coke. And I used to look really forward to that. And then after that, I used to have a few songs that I would play on the way home on the train that were positive and that made me feel good. And I got on the train listening to them and making myself feel good. So I'd look forward to that. And then after that, I used to go home and play on my Xbox. And I used to play Prop Hunt on Black Ops 3, I believe it was. There was a mall level, I forgot the name of it. It was a shopping mall. And I used to love it. I used to play all the time and listen to music. I used to feel amazing. And that made me feel really good at the time. Also then, around that time, I used to, on like a Friday, I used to literally drink some Copperbergs and play Call of Duty and put on some music. I used to love it. I don't do that anymore, obviously. I haven't played video games for a year and a half, but back at that time, I really liked that. Now I've got different things to look forward to, like the gym, like food, like these videos, like drinking black coffee, like getting out in nature, like the stuff I have going on. Every other weekend I usually have something going on, and that's quite fun. Me and some mates going a certain place, going out or whatever. Like last weekend I went Cardiff with my bro. That was interesting. And just different things like that to look forward to, even the little things. It really helps you. It's not about the biggest things and all this. It could be as simple as some water, which I need. It could be as simple as that. It could be as simple as food. It could be so simple, man. It could be so simple. And that's what we've got to think. We've got to have things to look forward to. Whether it's little, whether it's massive. You got to have things to look forward to. You got to have a lot of things to look forward to. It doesn't matter how big it is. Whether it's gym, steam room, like I go, sauna, like I went today and I spoke to some people. Like literally little things like that make you feel good. Going to Asda. Little things like that. I used to get really excited about doing little things like that. And getting on a train and going there and doing this. And it used to make me feel good. I used to go to the gym as well, of course. But at that time, it was iffy because of the lockdowns and all that bollocks. So that was a different time. Next thing I put down was meditation. And I put down specifically gratitude meditation. And I should have said visualization as well. Because meditation, especially gratitude meditation, allows you to feel that moment and feel the goodness of this moment. So you could be going through whatever you're going through, and it could be extremely negative. But if you were able to find things you're grateful for and meditate on that, you will start to feel the happiness for that moment, the gratitude for that moment, which will make you feel amazing. make you feel a lot better than if you didn't have that. It make you feel a lot more better than if you didn't even put your energy into that. And after a while, you start actually truly becoming grateful for these things. And gratitude meditation really helped me. I used to do like a 5-minute one beforehand, and sometimes I do 10 minutes. I've slacked a little bit recently. I was doing a lot of visualization now though as well, which helps. And meditation was truly positive for me, especially gratitude meditation. And I want you lot to try some gratitude meditation if you're feeling down, essentially. Just search on YouTube, 5-minute gratitude meditation. There's some good ones where I go through and have some music and all that, and it feels quite good to listen to. And especially when you get the deep breaths after, you feel quite calm and feel quite good. It's one of these things that's quite good, especially if you do it at the start of your day as well. It makes you a lot better and feel a lot better. And then visualization as well. Visualization is very important when you're in a dark place. Visualization is extremely important when you're in a dark place because you can't see a single way out. So for example, I had a certain goal at that time of me, I don't know, at that time it was almost me having a level of social validation in a sense, and doing a lot of stuff and making a lot of money or whatever. At that time I wasn't too certain what it was, but I used to think it'd be music or something like that, but I could make music, I just can't sing, so I'm a bit shit at that. But on a real level, I used to think it'd be like that, but now it's obviously different goals and different things, and I've got a lot of social validation, so now it's just the actual goals and what I can achieve as well. But visualize a certain goal, whether that's you with a certain car or a certain thing. Visualize a certain goal. Visualize you in certain shape, especially that's what I used to visualize myself in a certain body image, body shape, where now I've achieved that body that I wanted to achieve. Back then, I used to visualize it. Of course, now I'm visualizing better and better, but if you visualize certain things in certain scenarios, it really does help, especially when you truly believe you can achieve it. And at that time, you might not believe it as much because you'd be negative, you'd be in pain. But when you visualize it enough, it starts to become realer and realer and realer. And it's weird because I've had quite a few things that I visualized that actually come true. Whether it's going on a date with a certain person, I've visualized that before and it's happened twice with 2 different girls. Whether it's doing a certain thing. And actually, I visualized quite a few different things happening, but on a real level, it happens when you actually believe it can happen. And of course, there's stuff that hasn't happened that I visualized, but also, if you visualize things, it does give you a certain optimism about your future. Especially when you're in a dark place, you need optimism about your future. You need optimism about what you're going through. You need optimism about it all, because otherwise, you're just going to give up. You're just going to essentially bathe in the shit that you're in. You're going to bathe in it. You're just going to feel shitter and shitter. You're listening to sad songs. You'll be in your room. You'll be looking at loads of porn. Fucking looking at your phone. Scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And you're not going to help yourself. But when you visualize, whether it's a certain job, a certain career, a certain goal or whatever, it truly does help you. It truly does. And I remember I used to visualize doing well in adverts. So I used to make adverts for companies back then, and I used to just make them at home. So I would literally reach out to companies and make adverts for them. I didn't charge much, but at that time, that was my little side gig, my little thing to go out. And that was my first, open my eyes to making money online, essentially. And I used to do that. I used to make adverts, and I used to visualize a certain goal where I would be drinking after I made some money from some adverts, and I've done that. And that was really nice to do. It wasn't insane money, of course. Back then, the money's different when you're 18, 19 to when you're 21. Money's different. Now I've got so much more money, but at that time, that was a very big goal. Very big goal. And that's one of these things, you've got to visualize certain goals to get yourself out of them. And when I started going through depression, I had to visualize certain goals. And it took me a while to start doing that, but I started visualizing myself healthy, in shape, with money and all this stuff. And that allowed me to keep going with the optimism, relationships and all this stuff. That allowed me to keep going. And I was able to fulfill certain areas of that so far. Obviously, I'm nowhere near done, but at that time, that truly helped me. And that's a real thing to do. And the next thing that I would say will help is understanding you're not perfect. So understand you're not always going to feel amazing. This isn't even really a step. This is just a quote, essentially. This is just fucking mindset, essentially. But understand you're not perfect. Understand that you will have bad days. You will have bad days. Even now, I have bad days. The other day, I went Cardiff, and I didn't have the best day. When you would think it would be going well, because I had things to do and plans and all this, and we're in a different place. And there was essentially no reason for me to be worried. But I didn't have a good day that day naturally, which is what it is, isn't it? It's what it is. Some days you don't have the best days. Other days you thrive. Some days you don't. You need to understand that you're not going to have the best days. You're not going to always have exceptional, amazing, incredible days. You're going to have days where you struggle, where you're not as good, where you don't feel as good, where you feel a bit more self-conscious, where you feel a bit more anxious, where you feel a bit more in pain. But if anything, it's important to find the positives on them days anyway. And almost sometimes, if the day's just not going right, I understand it's a bad day, things aren't going right, and I understand that it will get better. And that's what that ties into as well. If you understand you're not perfect, you need to understand that you're going to have flaws, you're going to have things wrong with you, you're going to have certain areas that you want to change and certain things that you can't necessarily control. But if you keep trying on a daily basis, you can start to make yourself feel better and grow more and get better, which is beautiful and which is amazing in a real sense. And this is what I found is truly important. When I understood that I'm going to have bad days, I'm going to have days where I didn't feel as good, I'm going to have days where I just feel like giving up, it allowed me to almost understand it a bit more in my mind, if that made sense. And that's what it's about sometimes, isn't it? You need to understand stuff in your mind to understand what you're going through. You need to understand what's going on in order for you to understand what's going through. And even now, I don't have the best days. Some days I have shit days. Some days I think, what's going on? You know what I mean? But on other days, it's one of these things that does truly help. You need to understand you're not perfect. You need to understand you're not perfect, and you're not going to be perfect all the time. There's going to be days where you do well, but there's going to be other days where you struggle, where you feel pain, and where you don't feel as good. And that's crazy in a sense to think like that, because people say I'm going to be so disciplined, so perfect, but it's impossible to do that on a daily basis and be 100% perfect when there's external factors playing in with everything. There's external factors playing in with everything. Everything you're going through, there's external factors, external. So if it's an external factor, let's say you want to sell something and you need money from someone, you need to sell it to someone, it's up to that person on their interpretation of what you're selling, if that makes sense. So you can't necessarily control that. You can only control how you act. But let's say you have a bad day, you make no money. Let's say you're in sales or some shit and you make no money. If you understand that I can grow from this and I can get better, and the next day you go towards it, that will allow you to grow and get better, and you may do better the next day. Understand where you went wrong, then you can learn from that. Understand, why did I not feel as good today? What didn't I do today? What can I do next time? It allows you to make your mind stronger and build yourself further, which is important. Next thing I've done was I talked to myself positively. How many of us speak to ourselves negatively? How many of us look at ourselves and think, we are shit, we are terrible? Let's say you literally feel like you're shit, you're terrible. Let's just say you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm terrible. Let's say you see a person, you're out and about and you see a person, and let's say you see a girl and you think, I'm not good enough to talk to them. They didn't want me because of this, because of this, because of this, because of this. How is that going to help you? It's not going to make you feel positive, is it? And then you're going to feel even more like a loser for not trying. And then you're going to feel even more like a loser for giving up on yourself. And then that subconscious belief becomes more of a reality, in a sense, if that makes sense. That subconscious belief that you've told yourself, in a sense. And sometimes it's what you tell yourself. And after a while, you build a positive subconscious, like I've done. You need to tell yourself positive beliefs about yourself. You need to tell yourself, I can achieve this. I can get out of this. I can achieve a certain goal. I can go towards this. I can try today and go towards this. I'm further towards that goal. Whatever it is you need to tell yourself, you need to tell yourself stuff like that. And that's what helped me. When I talk to myself positively, it allows me to actually progress and move forward. If I speak to myself negatively on this video, for example, let's say I say I'm shit, I'm terrible, as I'm speaking, I'm going to feel like that and I'm going to give up and close off the video. But if I tell myself that I can record, I can hit the goal that I want to achieve, I can get towards this, I can get towards this, that will allow me to keep going and keep going forward. If I think that I can speak good on camera, I can speak confidently, that helps me. And this goes in every area of your life. Let's say you go to a social event. If you're thinking positive about yourself and saying, oh, I can make people laugh, I can make people feel good, that will allow you to have a better time and better interaction in that certain place in comparison to you feeling negative. So be very cautious of what you tell yourself. Be very almost observant on what you tell yourself. And if you tell yourself certain thoughts right now, have a think. Have a think, where does that belief come from? Where does that belief stem from? Ask yourself that. Where does that belief stem from? And if you can't truly get the answer straight away, journal about it. Journal about that thought and think, where does that stem from? Where does that stem from? Does it stem from this place, this thing that happened to me when I was younger? Does it stem from this girl or this friend group like abandoned me or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like when you look into it like that on a real level, you can kind of find out what's going wrong in your mind. That makes sense. And I feel like that's what it's about in a sense, especially when you're going through pain and sadness. You will go through periods sometimes and you may just fall into depression just randomly. Like I had, you just fall into it and you feel fucked. I've even had it here or there recently where I just fall into it and I can't speak to anyone, which is sad, and it's sad. But on a real level, when you start doing certain steps to try to amplify and get out of that situation, after a while you're able to negate it in a weird way. You may not be in it as long because you do the right things. You may fall into it though, but you may be able to get out of it quicker just by doing the right things. That's gonna be true. You know what I mean? If you talk to yourself positively, especially when you're going through something negative, it will help. But don't just almost give yourself a fake reality, if that makes sense, because it's one of these things where when you go through sadness and pain and all this, if you beat yourself up too much, you stay there longer. But if you don't, if you feel positive and if you tell yourself positive thoughts, it will help. In a sense, you're not just going to feel positive, but if you tell yourself positive thoughts, it will make a difference, especially over time. If you consistently go. Tell yourself. That will make a big difference on you as a person. That's going to allow you to get better and improve a lot. Need some more water. I'm a bit dehydrated from the sauna earlier. Apologies. But let's just say the next one that I literally thought of and that I used was having goals to work to. So let's say whatever it could be. Let's base level it. What do you want to be? Whatever it is, find what you actually want to work to. So this could be anything. This could be a side hustle. If you find something to work to and you set certain goals, whether it's a certain number, a certain amount of money, whatever it is, and you work towards that, you will start to have a level of meaning in your reality. It could be something as simple to make your family smile. Certain goals like that, just little stuff, man. Just little stuff. You don't need unbelievable big goals. Sometimes what I like doing is having a big goal, but having certain tiers that go towards it, if that makes sense. So let's say, for example, 2,000 subscribers. Let's say now I've hit 1,650. So now next will be 1.7, then 1.8, and then 1.9, you know what I mean? So like that, but then it leads to a bigger goal. And if you have that mindset where you set a big goal, or set goals in general, and the little goals lead to big goals, it will allow you to keep going on a daily basis. For example, let's say you go to the gym, you got a certain goal of a body that you want to achieve. Maybe a certain number, maybe a certain physique, you visualize it. If you keep going every day, you will be able to achieve something like that. Achieve something similar, achieve something to the same degree, which will help you and which will improve you, which will keep you striving. But if you don't have a goal or something to strive towards, it's not going to help you. That's crazy. That's what we've got to think though. We've got to think, if we don't have goals to work towards, we're going to have no, essentially, let's say you got a car. Let's say you're driving a car right now. And let's say you want to go somewhere. But you don't know where you're going. You're just driving. You don't know where you're going. But let's say you have a sat nav essentially, or a certain place where you want to go. And you understand, oh, I can see that. I need to go towards that. You know where you need to go roughly. You keep going. Let's say you put in a sat nav. Then you go. You know where you're going. That's a weird example, but it makes sense somewhat. You need goals, essentially. Because if you have no goals, you're just going to go off the rails. If you have no destination, essentially, you're just going to go off the rails. You know what I mean? You're not going to get to anywhere. Let's say you're a train. You're not going to get to anywhere, you know what I mean? But if you have a certain place to go, it will allow you to help yourself and go towards it. And that's what we need in a sense. We need certain places, certain destinations that we want to achieve, go towards, because that can keep us going when we're feeling down. Essentially, when you feel down, think of a certain goal and you achieving it and you going towards that. That will make you feel a lot better and a lot more grateful for yourself. And the next thing that I wrote down was working out. So a lot of us forget how important working out is for us. Literally the other week, I didn't work out for a week because I was injured, my back was fucked. Didn't work out for a week, and funnily enough, I felt shit. I didn't feel obviously like completely terrible, but I didn't feel as good as when I did work out, and I forgot how much of a blessing it is to work out. Especially someone like me, I do it quite often. It's something that allows me to get out my stress and my pain. A lot of people will turn to weed or turn to drugs or turn to alcohol. That doesn't truly solve my pain for me. if I put it into myself and work towards things, that kind of solves my pain, if that makes sense, because I'm never doing any drugs. I've never touched any drugs. So therefore, I'm not going to give in to drugs now, because I needed it. But my idea is if I work out, I can make myself feel better, literally take myself on a positive trajectory. I can almost tire myself out a little bit as well, which is good because I sometimes have too much energy. If I tire myself out and then the next day I'll grow, I feel better. Over time, it gets me towards my goals, towards myself, towards a physique where I'm happy and grateful, which is beautiful, which is amazing. You need to work out in a sense because you will feel exceptional after, especially when your body starts getting a little bit better and you literally look at yourself in the mirror and you think, fucking hell, I've changed a lot. This is something that changes your life as well on a real level. And I need to preface this a lot. Working out has made a massive difference on my life in a real sense. And this is one of the reasons why I've actually got out of this pain and this sadness on a real level, because it's given me different things, different friendships, different relationships, girls, the opposite sex, whatever. It's literally given me that without having to try that hard, which is good for me because I'm naturally quite introverted on a real sense. I speak to people, I do speak, and some people will say I'm loud or whatever, but I'm naturally introverted on a real level. On a deeper level, I'm introverted. As a actual person, I like spending time by myself, I like doing stuff by myself, you know what I mean? But on a real level, working out allowed me to have different relationships with girls and all this stuff and see that side of life, which is beautiful, and build that confidence. That's what it is as well, building that confidence. When you work out, you build that confidence. When you look a bit better, you build that confidence, which is amazing for you and your confidence. But if you don't have that, and if you are not happy with your self-image, with when you look in the mirror, you are going to feel terrible about yourself, especially if you're in a depressive state, if you're not trying to work out and do this stuff, or sad state. As much as it's hard, I know it's hard, but if you try and just get your body moving in some way, it will make you feel better. And especially when you start seeing results, you will feel more positive about everything, about yourself, about the reality. Especially when you go out and you're in a bit better shape and then people are looking. Girls are looking at you and they never used to look at you like that. Girls may come up to you if you're on a night out or whatever. Sometimes they'll come up to you, make it obvious, which is amazing for your confidence, which I had when I started going out 2021, August time. I started having that because I worked on myself for about 2 years, getting in the gym and all that. It made me feel better in a sense. Obviously, it's only about a little bit of getting in the gym because I had to work out at home, but I was building up on one-arm push-ups and all this stuff, even around COVID times. I had a little dingy fucking pull-up bar in between two ladders. It was literally just a metal bar my dad put up for me, and it was in between two ladders. It was a bit wonky, but I tried to build up to one-arm pull-ups, and I do pull-ups on it and all that, and it was really good for my confidence, really good for me. And I used to do that, used to build up on pull-ups, especially the bicep variations as well. Used to do one-arm push-ups, used to do pistol squats and all that. I was working out at home then. And I was able to get good results, especially when the gym started opening up again. I went in a little bit of a bulk and I put on quite a bit of size naturally, which was good. I then watched what I eat. And this is going to be a real thing for you. If you don't watch what you eat, you're going to feel terrible and you're going to feel shit. This is just the base level. If you watch what you eat and you see yourself in better shape, and this ties into working out, if you don't watch what you eat, you're basically leaving so much progress on the table. And a lot of guys don't watch what they eat. A lot of people order fucking Domino's. They'll order fucking shit food, drink Mountain Dew, buy loads of cookies, eat that at home, eat loads of ice cream, smoke some weed. No wonder you feel shit. No wonder you feel terrible. When you start watching what you eat, you actually start to see yourself naturally progressing. Let's say your goal was to lose 20 pounds. If you start watching what you eat, watching your calories, moving more, going out for walks daily, working out consistently, and you start watching what you eat, you will start to see a better version of yourself, and you'll start to see that work pay off, leading to endless possibilities in your mind and you feeling more confident, which is all we can ask at the end of the day, innit? I need more water, which is all we can ask. It's harder to feel depressed when you watch what you eat and you're trying towards certain things and you're going towards certain goals and you're seeing yourself get better. It's quite hard to feel as bad. You may not feel perfect, but you're not going to feel as bad when you wake up and you look a bit leaner and your jawline's coming in and your abs are coming in. Like recently, I've leaned down a bit more and I'm at higher weight, but the vein here has came back in on my lower stomach, which is a sign that I'm getting leaner. And I don't know if I'm going to take it more more leaner at this point. I'm going to slowly lean down. If I get too light, I'm going to just bulk up again. I don't like being too light now, I like eating a bit more and all this. But if you watch what you eat in a general sense, get leaner, put some muscle, you will start getting better. Obviously, I'm at a different point to a lot of people starting. Like, I've achieved a physique that I'm happy with. Like, even now I'm happy with it. I'm not 10% body fat, I'm probably around 13, 14, but it makes you feel good on a raw sense, and that's what you need to do. And the next thing I'm going to say that helped me as well is using social media less. So we always dive into social media. Go on Instagram all the time. Go on whatever it is all the time. Shorts. And you must distract yourself, which feels productive at that time. When you're in pain, when you're in sadness, it feels productive to look at social media, to look at this stuff, to almost take yourself away from your mind. Does that make sense? And distract yourself. It feels positive to do that. But on a real sense and on a real reality, it isn't positive to do that. It isn't positive. It's extremely negative. It's not good for you. It's not good for you. As much as people say it is, it isn't. It isn't good to watch other people's lives, essentially. People you don't even speak to now on Instagram. It isn't good to go on Snapchat and see people's stories that you don't even care about from years ago. It isn't good. It isn't good. It isn't productive. Of course, people say it is, but it isn't. It isn't. And when you use it less, almost your mind becomes less distracted and you can focus on the good things. If you use that less, you can literally work on stuff. You can go outside, you can go for a walk and not be distracted. You can literally look at certain areas. You can speak to people. You can have a better social connection instead of being completely distracted, like a lot of these people are when they're on that, and it affects their whole reality. Everybody says that it's productive and it's good, but it isn't. It really isn't. It isn't good to spend too much time on social media. You need to spend less time on it. That's what I do. I don't spend too much time on actual social media. I may watch YouTube videos and that, but I don't watch overstimulating content too much because it fucks your brain up. It fucks your brain up. It distracts you. It literally fucks up your interactions. Like, literally. If you interact with someone and you've consumed loads of YouTube shorts, there's a TikTok, there's a random shit, your mind's going to immediately just jump from shit to shit to shit to shit. Your mind's not going to be as clear as someone who spends less time away, focus on himself, maybe reads, maybe listens to audiobooks, maybe journals, maybe all this stuff. Works out, spends time by himself, actually thinking. Your mind's not going to be as clear as someone like that. That's a real message. And the next thing I put down to help yourself when you're going through something like this is social connection. So, social connection is something that truly helps you and makes you feel better in a real sense, and we often neglect that as something to make us heal and make us feel better. We often neglect the social side. We neglect being social, speaking to people, like literally interacting with people. Like today, I went to the gym and I worked out, went sauna, and I spoke to about 3 different people. I had big conversations with 2 of them, which is quite good. You know what I mean? And the social connections, that's quite good. That makes you feel good about yourself, and especially when you're interacting with people, it makes you feel good. It's like around my area, if I walk around, there's people I know who I can speak to, I say all right to, hello, good morning, and whatever. It's just different little stuff like that. It makes you feel like you're not alone, if that makes sense, and that's the beautiful thing. And especially when you have different things set up to look towards, to go towards, that makes your whole reality a lot better. And that's going to be the real message. And I don't believe I missed anything on here. This is everything I've done to help me with my mental health on a raw level. And I hope you lot got a lot of value. Like, comment, and subscribe, share it. It will help me a lot and help the channel grow. Thank you.